Will Congress pass the Farm Bill by September? A key senator on the Ag Committee tells us no. Straight ahead, we visit with Senator Deb Fischer. Plus, with more electric cars hitting the road, how some want to level the playing field for ethanol. Later, what irrigators should be looking for on their pivots. And a young woman we met at the county fair is now the teacher. We'll meet our farm family of the month in Ord. It's time to grow. The clock is ticking. A farm bill must be passed by next month. Now, Senator Deb Fischer tells us that won't happen. As harvest approaches, farmers will likely get in the combine without a new farm bill.
We're kind of at a situation where we're paused right now.
Senator Deb Fischer serves on the Senate Ag Committee.
We're looking probably at a short-term extension. As we move forward, there's no way that we can get a farm bill done by the end of September.
Nebraska corn growers have made their priorities clear.
The crop insurance will stay the same, if not be a little bit better.
For more than 2 decades, farm program payments have been based on what a farm has historically grown, not actually planted. One thing corn growers would like is a one-time update to those base acres to reflect a more recent snapshot.
And there's a lot of guys, they used to raise wheat. You don't see much wheat around here, and they still have the wheat base acres.
Other than that one mandate, Chris Graham says programs should be voluntary. Fischer says that's especially important to her when it comes to conservation, saying subsidies should not be tied to requirements.
I'm against that.
It's important to note farm programs are a small part of the Farm Bill. Nutrition accounts for the overwhelming majority of spending, and that's likely where negotiations will be toughest. Farmers would like to see it get done soon.
We got some ask, but as long as everything stays the same or improves, we're okay.
Fischer expects most programs to be relatively unchanged, but discussions will carry into the new year.
I know that we're going to be able to get a farm bill done.
Fischer also supports efforts to build a new agricultural research facility at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. The university is engaged in several research projects ranging from crop genetics to precision agriculture, as well as numerous livestock projects. Fischer says precision agriculture is a priority as she works on the new farm bill in the Ag Committee.
Well, research is so important. I'm on the Appropriations Committee as well, and we were able to get some funding there, $25 million for the ARS, that Ag Research Center that the university is developing. That's going to be so important, not just for our land-grant institution, but it's really important for the state of Nebraska.
The new facility will be known as the National Center for Resilient and Regenerative Precision Agriculture. Fischer also supports continued funding for the U.S. Meat Animal Research Center in Clay County. For more than a half-century, U.S. Mark has been a leader in cattle research. Interest rates, inflation, and rising input costs could have the farm economy in trouble. NTV's Gary Robinson Jr. hits the field for more.
The last couple, 2 or 3 years, and now with inflation, interest rates have continued to go up. So the cost of doing business, the cost of those operating notes and loans continues to go up.
That's Kelly Brunkhorst, the executive director of Nebraska Corn. He says there's no end in sight. According to a study done by the Center for Agricultural Profitability at the University of Nebraska, net farm income in Nebraska will decrease by $1.9 billion this year, and lowered corn prices are expected to reduce corn profit by $1.4 billion. Farmers also have to deal with a combined $96 million reduction in dairy, poultry, and eggs. And Brunkhorst says there could be more financial impact coming.
All this continues to create uncertainty at the local level, but then you've got international politics with the uncertainty of the war or invasion with Ukraine and Russia. Will China continue to buy U.S. corn, soybeans, and products?
I also spoke with President and CEO of First State Bank, Dave Donnell, about rate increases. He told me that these interest rates will affect young and new farmers because rates are at a 20-year high.
Well, there's no doubt the short-term interest rate having gone up to the level that it's at now, which I believe hasn't been at this level since 2001. So for a lot of young farmers, they've not experienced interest rates at this level in their entire careers.
With so much uncertainty ahead, Brunkhorst says he expects to see hardship unlike what many have seen before.
Just a lot of uncertainty, which all leads to the concern about mental health, not only for younger growers, but growers in general, and make sure that they continue to feel comfortable having those types of conversations.
As drivers turn to electric vehicles to meet carbon goals, farmers say they've got a low-carbon option that's ready to go right now. NTV's Taylor Leverett has more.
It's just a win-win for everybody. E15.
Supporters of renewable fuels say ethanol will give a voice to innovation in Nebraska agriculture, as well as reduce our carbon footprint.
You can eliminate about 40% of the greenhouse gas emissions.
McFeeters, along with several others, attended a round table at Kappa Ethanol led by Senator Pete Ricketts. Ricketts introduced the Flex Fuel Fairness Act, and he's not alone in the fight. He's working with Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar.
To get bills done, you really have to have bipartisan bills so that you can have that support from both sides of the aisle.
The bill comes around the same time the Biden administration is pushing for electric vehicles. Ricketts says his bill will incentivize automakers to build more cars that can run on high ethanol blends.
Let the industry come up with solutions like flex fuel vehicles and give consumers choices, a better way to actually achieve the goals of reducing carbon emissions.
And in terms of who will have the most benefit, McFeeters says that'll be the state's economy and farmers.
It makes farmers grow corn because there's a market for it. So it puts people to work, and when farmers get $1, they love to spend them, and so it goes around and around all through the state.
Now that he's got the first step down by introducing the bill, Senator Ricketts says the next step is attaching the Flex Fuel Fairness Act to another bill that's already in the Senate. He didn't give a timeline as to when this will happen, but you can count on us to keep you updated with the latest. Reporting in Minden, I'm Taylor Leverett.
We now know what led to a fire at McCain Foods in Grand Island. Nebraska State Fire Marshal says the cause of the fire was accidental due to ongoing repair work. Damages resulting from the flames are estimated at around $125,000 and are expected to be higher due to stopped or limited operations. 3 Miami men have been sentenced to 2 years in federal prison for their role in a multi-state meat theft that hit Grand Island. A Florida court handed down the sentence. Court records say video surveillance showed the 3 men together in a truck yard in Grand Island. Police say thousands of dollars of meat were later reported stolen. You can read more details on our website, nebraska.tv. Raising livestock, but more importantly, raising the next generation. We'll meet our Farm Family of the Month here at the Valley County Fair later. Up next, tips on keeping your pivot running well.
This portion of NTV's Grow is sponsored by Acres Equipment, solutions for every field. Acres has what you need to get the job done.
Nebraska Extension says now is the time for farmers to evaluate their pivots. Steve Melvin joining us now live. Steve, why is August a good time to pay close attention to your center pivots?
Yeah, hi, Sarah. Yeah, during August is a great time to evaluate your center pivot because we're using them. And unlike other farm equipment, we really can't start them up in the wintertime when we have time to work on them. So we need to figure out and make a list. You know, we're using them every day of what needs to be fixed. And it's just a good practice to do that. Also, another important point is the water level in the wells are pumped down, more in the summertime. And so a pressure issue may show up now that wouldn't if you were checking them out in March or April.
So what are some of the important aspects you need to evaluate?
Now, one of the most important indicators if the sprinkler package is working correctly is the pressure. And the sprinkler chart needs to be checked on that. About every center pivot has a different pressure. And the long and the short of it is if the pressure isn't right, the system can't be functioning correctly.
And can you just look at a sprinkler package to inspect it?
Yeah, it's a great way to do it. I encourage people at least every couple weeks all summer, in the morning or the evening when the sun's kind of gleaming off the water coming out of the sprinkler package, just to see. It should look fairly uniform down the whole length of the machine, a little less towards the pivot point, a little bit more. You can see leaks or sprinklers that are plugged or came off, make sure the end gun's working correctly. But when the sun's gleaming off the water, yeah, it's pretty easy to see it, even without a pair of binoculars, but they can be useful as well.
Yeah. Are there any other ways to appraise those sprinklers?
This summer, most every field has aerial photos taken of it on a regular basis. And if you don't purchase those, you certainly could get those and take a look at them. And they'll give you the circular patterns certainly have to do with the sprinkler patterns. And then, of course, during the fall, if it's a very non-uniform machine, you can probably even see it from the combine cab.
Celebrating 25 years of soybean management field days. Hosted by the Soybean Board and Nebraska Extension, these field days offer a chance to learn about the latest research and technology and network with fellow growers. The event is free, and this year features UML Dairy Store ice cream in honor of the anniversary. This year's sites include Rockville, Concord, Meade, and DeWitt. Crop conditions remain mixed. Most corn rates good to fair. 90% of corn is silky and 20% dough. Soybeans much the same, mostly good to fair, about 90% blooming, 50% setting pods. Winter wheat harvest 70% complete when on average it's normally finished at this point. There may be some acres that will not be harvested there. Pasture and range conditions 39% good, 31% fair. Our grow weather outlook is next.
NTV's Grow Weather is sponsored by Acres Equipment, solutions for every field. Acres has what you need to get the job done.
The latest drought monitor released earlier this week still indicating very dry conditions across the Central Plains. Not much has changed in Kansas, but a little improvement in the state of Nebraska. Looking at Kansas now, most of these categories the same as they were last week. 12% in no drought, abnormally dry 88%, moderate drought 71.5%, severe drought 47.75%. Extreme drought in Kansas 29.25%, and exceptional drought still the same as last week, 3.65%. So portions of southern Kansas and west central Kansas still the driest across the area. Looking ahead to Nebraska now, a couple of these categories have improved over the last week. An encouraging report. These first two, the no drought and abnormally dry, haven't improved much really at all. 22.75% as well as 77.25% respectively. So not much change there, but then as we head into the moderate drought here across the state, 64.25%, roughly a 3.5% improvement from last week. Severe drought, here's the most encouraging category improvement that we've had, a 14.5% improvement compared to last week. Now just about 32% of the state in severe drought. Extreme drought, right around 15.75%, also a 3.5% improvement from last week. And then the exceptional drought still the same as it was the week before, 2.63%. So those areas right around Grand Island and Hastings and up near Norfolk as well, the driest parts of the state. Now, temperatures for the month of August here, as we begin the month, the rest of the month here, looking like below average temperatures in the western part of Nebraska, Panhandle as well, seeing some below average temperatures, but warmer temperatures expected for the southern half of Kansas. So otherwise equal chances for those temperatures. Rather, precipitation now, some above average precipitation expected for the far western part of the Nebraska Panhandle and really the whole states of Kansas and Nebraska in above average precipitation, which is very encouraging to see given the latest drought monitor report. Now, the next 3 months, temperatures remaining fairly unchanged. Below average temperatures still expected in the eastern part of Nebraska and the northeast part of Kansas. Otherwise, warmer temperatures expected the next 3 months in southwestern Kansas. Otherwise, average temperatures expected for the next 3 months in the remaining areas there. And then the next 3 months for precipitation still unchanged from last week's report. Still above average precipitation expected for eastern Nebraska as well as eastern Kansas. Otherwise, equal chances of precipitation, which is always good to see. We'll take average any day of the week. And speaking of those days of the week, the grow week ahead. Temperatures starting off on the cool side following a cold front on Saturday, so temperatures in the upper 70s. But as the week goes on, so do those temperatures. They climb a little bit, 86 by Friday. A couple of rain chances. I think their best rain chances will be Monday through Wednesday this week. So lots of rain chances still in the forecast, which is good to see with the latest drought monitor. The Grow Almanac for the week. Normally, we see highs around 87, a low of around 65, but the week ahead averaging a little bit cooler, 82 for a high and 60 for a low. So cooler temperatures this week. Well, we have some rain in the forecast too, and this proverb may ring true. We'll see. Have to wait and see. When it rains in August, it rains honey and wine. Now, the last I checked, when it rains in August, it still rained water, but you be the judge. Maybe it will rain honey and wine on your crops this coming harvest season. That is a look at this week's Grow Report. Be sure to join us next week when once again it will be time to grow.
To see more photos from your county fair, go to our website, nebraska.tv, and chime in.
I'm Colleen Williams. NTV is partnering with the National Diaper Bank Network for Sinclair Cares Summer Diaper Drive. Scan this QR code to help provide diapers for those in need.
Megan Skabinski knows these barns at the Valley County Fair well as a 4-H and FFA member. Now, she's the teacher, along with a family that's all about the county fair. Running in celebration. Moments of joy come from hours in the barn.
It's always been a part of our lives. We both come from ag families, so county fair is extremely important to us, but it's also important to this community.
Jamie and Dawn Skabinski grew up at the county fair. Now their 3 kids learn life lessons, even when things go wrong.
I tried making a cake last night and it didn't turn out.
Baking may not be their thing, but the Skabinskis shine in the livestock arena. Both Megan and Will are past overall showmanship champs.
So I'm the only one that hasn't won it, so I have a little to live up to.
The Valley County Fair contest challenges kids to try their hand at 4 different animals in quick succession.
Not really good at showing pigs. Don't really know what I'm doing. And the cattle kind of scare me sometimes.
For Elizabeth to capture the title, her dad says the key is working with her friends.
To communicate with other people that have other species to ask them to use their project. And it's just another communication leadership skill that they get to develop.
It's a lesson big sister Megan learned from her experiences in 4-H and FFA.
All of the networking opportunities, the trips, traveling, everything, just the responsibility, it's definitely shaped who I am.
Now Megan's a teacher leading the egg program in Arcadia. Her parents both work in egg fields too, and together they raise their animals for the county fair.
That's who we are.
There are 35 cows for each person in Valley County. And this mom and dad say it's the relationships that endure.
These kids are all in the ag industry. They've got to come together and support each other. Yeah, they can be as competitive as all get out in the ring, but when it comes down to it, we're all in the ag world, so we're here for each other. An awesome, awesome family that we've met a number of times over the year, and we are pleased to honor the Skabinskis as our Farm Family of the Month. And we'll see you back here again next time as we see how agriculture makes Nebraska grow.
NTV's Grow is brought to you by Aurora Cooperative. Tougher together, Aurora and you.